Good afternoon, guys. Welcome back to the Sullivan family. It is Wednesday. It's Wednesday afternoon. I am just waiting for the girls. They are at dancing at the moment. They're at one class and I'm going to take them across to their other class in a minute. So it's been this week has just been hectic. I knew it was going to be hectic. Obviously it's the last week of term for Agnes and Noah. And there's just been so much going on. So Monday obviously is my shopping. Tuesday, there's been so much going on I can't even remember what it is. Oh god, this is my life. I can't remember stuff. Tuesday I had the hairdressers. I mean, how could I forget? But there's been lots of, and today I've had an appointment with Joseph. There's been lots of other bits and pieces. The kids have been busy learning all about weather and doing lots of experiments and posters and things like that. Weather and the water cycle is what they've been working on this week, alongside like the reading eggs. And for Toby, he's got like maths puzzles. He's got a really good book actually of like a P7 S1 kind of age group. I can't remember what key stage that is. 3, 4? I'm not entirely sure. I'll have to have a look. Like maths logic puzzles, and he really likes stuff like that rather than, I mean, he can sit and do like a normal maths, but he likes things like that get his brain thinking. He's quite got into Sudoku at the moment. Sudoku, how do you say it? He quite likes those at the moment. I was teaching him how to do them the other day. So yeah, he kind of tends to sit and do those when he's got some spare time. Just lots of, the girls have had rehearsals for their ballet show, obviously dance classes. There isn't actually any cheer tonight. Cheer is finished. And the weather today was supposed to be overcast, and it's actually really warm. It was like 20 degrees a minute ago, which is, I'm not complaining about. But anyway, the rest of the week is just as hectic. The girls have got more rehearsals. They've got their shows at the weekend. They've got 2 shows. So yeah, it's just lots and lots going on this week. So, if you have been following, you'll know that we are currently going through kind of the diagnosis process, the autism diagnosis process with Joseph. It's a really long waiting list, really long process, just really long. Please help us get to our goal of 100,000 subscribers. Please subscribe. You won't regret it. And hit the bell for notifications so you don't ever miss a video or an upload. Thank you. So from very first chat referral with health visitor GP, it's probably been 3 years maybe. Obviously the actual sort of referral to pediatrics, I think he was first seen 2 years ago, possibly. I have done videos on this before, so I haven't gone back and seen exactly. But we first noticed signs with Joseph when he was probably about 18 months, 2 years old, probably. Things that maybe I put down to just being like a toddler, and sort of realising actually that doesn't sit right with just toddler behaviour. And then I had a chat obviously with the health visitor, and then after that maybe the GP. I can't actually remember, to be honest. But yeah, the first referral and first time we saw the paediatrician was probably about 2 years ago. Something in my eye. Obviously we've seen her again this year. And the problem seems to be with Joseph, because he's homeschooled, The problem is there isn't that extra third referral or input, if you like. So I know it's very different in different places, and last time I put a video out, at the end of the day, I'll get slammed for things anyway, especially when I talk about Joseph. I get slammed by certain people, and then also there's a lot of people that know what we're going through, and there's also a lot of people that are in the same boat as us. So I'm going to carry on talking about it, even if people come for me or whatever. And sometimes I feel like I ought to be armed with all the information, but to be perfectly honest, I can't always remember. And I'm sat in the car, and I could go home and look it all up, but I can't always remember the names of everything and all those sorts of things. And I kind of envy people that know all the proper names for things and people and stuff. But the letters are at home. It says it on the letters. Anyway, I'm not a medical professional at the end of the day. So I think for some areas it works that you get a referral with CAMHS, and then obviously with like the school, and there's like another sector, if you like, that it's all sent off to, and they decide and they give a diagnosis. But here, Joseph has been seen by the paediatrician, but because he's not at school, there's not that school report element, which is why it's been more difficult. He has been seen by occupational therapy, so he does have that input. Obviously there's our input, which kind of should be enough, but you know, we're just the parents. So pediatrics, the paediatrician referred him to CAMHS to see if they could have any input on it. So we had our first appointment with them today. We had a choice appointment with them, which is basically where you go along and decide whether they can help, which kind of department to put you in, all those sorts of things. Like your first, it's not an assessment or anything else like that. It's not kind of going into too much. It's just literally to see what they can do, where they can put you, where to refer you to, kind of thing within the service. And to be honest, as really nice as the lady was, it was pointless, because she said they don't, CAMHS now here in Murray don't diagnose children with ASD or autism. They used to, because I remember years back they used to, because one of the older ones went through the process as well, and they did used to diagnose there, but I think COVID, longer waiting lists, etc means that they just don't do it now. So she was very much like, I don't really know what we can do, because we don't do diagnosis or assessment anymore. So she was like, I don't really know, we can't really help in this process, we don't have any more information, we can't really help. And she said, I don't really understand why a diagnosis can't be made without that sort of third party. The problem is it's all bureaucracy, isn't it? It's got to be those 3 bits of paperwork. It's got to be, nothing can be outside the lines. Everything is so institutional within like government systems and the government, schools, education, NHS. Everything is so institutional that it has to be done this way with this paperwork and like this. And as soon as somebody steps outside of the lines or steps out of that a little bit, like because we homeschool, nobody seems to know what to do, and everyone's kind of like, I don't actually know what we're supposed to do here, and we can't do this because you're not following the rules, if you like, you're not following what everybody else is following, and it becomes very difficult. And as I've said before, lots of people say, why are you wanting a diagnosis if it's not, the diagnosis part isn't that important to me. We already manage well with Joseph. We have lots of systems in place to help him. the fact that he doesn't go to school, I think, has made him a much calmer, more peaceful boy. You know, if he had gone to school, he wouldn't be the boy that we've got now. He would have, I know he would have really struggled. He reminded me very much of Toby when he first went to school and used to hate it. Used to cry all the time, all that sort of stuff. It was awful. But I persevered because you're supposed to send the kids to school. Back then, I didn't really know anything about homeschooling. It never even crossed my mind, to be honest. Before COVID and all that sort of stuff, I knew that I hated sending them back to school, and I hated putting him into school when he was so upset all the time. But you know, that's what you're kind of told that you have to do. You're following the rules, you're following what you think you think you're doing the right thing. Obviously with age, more children, different circumstances, I've realised that actually it probably wasn't the best thing for him and for quite a few of our children. Some of them have done really well at school. Some of them, school just wasn't the place to be, because school, unfortunately, it's, you know, it's very much, if you are academic, you can follow the rules, you can keep up, you can do all of that, you're going to do fine. But if you can't, then it's going to be difficult. And that's, you know, I didn't want that for Joseph. I knew that it would be an awful thing for him. So the reason that he is the boy he is now, he's gaining his confidence, he's growing in himself all the time, is because of the systems we have in place at home. That's not to say that he doesn't have bad days, because he does have bad days. He had quite a bad day the other day, and I, you know, we are still at a loss with how to help him when he's having a meltdown. He's very much, he doesn't like anybody being near him, he doesn't want you to touch him, he doesn't want you to talk to him, nothing. So it's very, very difficult. But you know, we do have lots of things in place to help him, and we take things at his pace. I know that I'm fully 100% confident in the fact that that has, you know, the fact that he hasn't gone to school has helped him, because he would be anxious, he would be nervous, he'd probably be overwhelmed all the time if we had sent him to school. But anyway, as I was saying, this process just seems to be the reason that we want that diagnosis for him, actual diagnosis, because lots of people come onto my YouTube and my Instagram and all that, say that, you know, he's not autistic, you're just doing it for this and you're doing it for that. Really think about it. You know, this is just another one of those lines that come from their website that we should not name, made up things. The reason I want him to have a diagnosis is because one day he might choose to go to school, or he might choose to go to college, or he might, you know, any of those things. I want him to be able to access the support that he needs. I also want him to know that, you know, people will try and label him and say that there's something wrong with him. I want him to know there's nothing wrong with him. He just doesn't process things the same way as everybody else, and that is absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. This is the problem with the kind of neurotypical world and the neurodivergent world, is that, you know, we always say, people say, oh, you know, normal children and children with, they're not, none of them, you know, it's not normal and not normal. That's not, you know, no, not at all. Who's normal at the end of the day? There's not a normal way of dealing with things. You've got a typical way. Most children typically act, but nobody's normal at the end of the day. Normal's boring, but you know, that's very much how it's still classed, and I don't want it to be like that. I don't want him to feel like that. I want him to know who he is, and that there is a reason that he doesn't always process things the same way, and that's absolutely fine. And like I said, I want him to be able to access support should he need to be able to access support as he grows up, or we might need to access support for him, and that's the main reason. But out of today's appointment, not really much has come, to be honest. I kind of feel like we're back to square one again, in that nobody seems to, this whole process is just so long, and you're just pushed from pillar to post, and nobody really knows what information to give you. Nobody really knows how to handle you, because you're different as such, because you're homeschooling. You've chosen a different path, which is a better path for my children, and I know that, and I know lots of people don't agree with that, but I know that it is. But it's very difficult to know what to do next, to be honest. I mean, obviously, you know, they don't give you any information or anything, you know, any sort of judgment or anything when you're there. And she was lovely. She was really, really nice, and she took down lots of notes. She asked lots of questions. You do kind of feel like you just go over and over the same questions with just different people every single time. And I am quite conscious as well that we're always talking in front of Joseph, and he does understand what we're saying. So I always try and, you know, they always want to know what are the things that he struggles with. And I always feel quite bad, because I think there's so many things that he's really good at, but it's always kind of, well, what is it that he struggles with? And you think, well, yeah, but I get that that's why we're all access and support and all that sort of stuff. But equally, I always try and, like I said to her today about how good Joseph is at like reading and at his jigsaw puzzles and things with his hands and Lego and stuff like that, and how good he is, because I'm conscious that he sits and he listens when you're having these appointments, and you're sort of saying they want to know what he struggles with and how he copes with this, and you're talking about his meltdowns, which he struggles with anyway, because he knows deep down that he doesn't want to be having them, but he can't help the fact that everything gets so overwhelming that he has a complete meltdown. But it's not nice for him, it's not nice for anybody, but it's not nice for him. And then you kind of feel, you know, you're talking about it in front of him, and you just feel like you're just going, it's like a speech, you're just going over it every time you meet somebody in a new department. It's just the same thing every time. And I mean, some parents are like really prepared and they have notes and everything. I'm not one of those parents. I go in with just what's in my mind, and maybe that's not a good thing. Maybe I should go with lists of things, but you know, I'm not that parent. I never have been, to be honest. Everything that when I talk about things, it comes from my heart. When I talk about things, it comes from, you know, knowledge and what's in here, really. So, you know, that's just me. That's just who I am. But yeah. So ultimately, they said they'd get back to me today with where we should go next, because obviously she said, you know, if we write a letter and everything else, it could take weeks. Every single appointment takes weeks, doesn't it? Weeks and weeks and weeks to come through. I mean, like Isabel's still on the waiting list for orthopedics about her knee. She's been on the waiting list for over a year. It's a year since she was referred, and it was 6 months to even get her on the list. You know, that's just for an appointment to see about it. Meanwhile, she struggles with her knee. She doesn't ever make much of a deal about it, but she does struggle with it. And she's 17, and I know COVID, the NHS is in a mess, everything else, but it doesn't help, does it? Everything just is made so much more difficult, so much longer. Every waiting list is so much longer, and it's not the people in the job, is it? It's the whole system, unfortunately. But yeah, that is where we're standing at the moment. So I'm still trying to process everything myself, to be honest. I do find I'm one of those people that comes out of an appointment and I've got lots of information in my brain, if you like, but it takes me a while to process it. It takes me a few days to kind of properly process. But not much came out of it, to be honest. So we're just kind of back to square one. Yeah, I think. We have switched positions. We are now over in Lossie. The girls are in another class. So yeah, we're no further forward, really. So we'll just continue to wait, I guess, really. I mean, in the meantime, you know, Joseph's doing really well. He's He's happy. We had the occupational therapy. I'm sure I did a video on that. We had the occupational therapy appointment, and that was really, really helpful. Just in kind of cementing a lot of the things that we do for him and with him, that we were doing the right things, if you like, and giving us some more ideas for other things that we could do to help him. But just to know that you're kind of doing the right thing, pointing you in the right direction, that's a big help. So we had that appointment. We've had some follow-up from that appointment. And in general, yes, he has bad days. Everybody has bad days at the end of the day. He's doing really well. He is doing really well. He's getting on really well. He's happy. And that's the main thing. And all the rest of it will come. He's doing really well with his reading. He's doing really well with his maths. I know that if we'd put him to school, they would immediately start saying that he was behind. Do you know what I mean? And he's not behind. He's where he should be. He just struggles with, I've spoken about how he struggles with his pen grip and things like that, but he's getting so much better. He just needs more time. That's all. And he's very much a little and often kind of child. He doesn't do well at sitting for long periods of time. So we just get in there when we can with him. But on the flip side of that, it's like the occupational therapist did recommend things like small Lego for helping with his grip in his hands. And he loves doing that. He loves doing jigsaws. Just absolutely loves them. He also loves those Minecraft blocks that you can get. The magnetic blocks. He loves building stuff out of them. So does Florence. And he's like I said, he's happy. He's happy. He's content. He's just him. And that's fine. And the rest of it will come. And as far as the diagnosis goes, it is frustrating that you kind of just have to keep repeating yourself all the time. And that you just get pushed from one place to the next. But in the long run, we're doing it for him. So that's the way you've got to kind of think about it. And in some ways, I do feel that because he's not at school and he's got us kind of there with him all the time, that it's what I'm trying to say is it's a long wait, and if he had been at school, it would be so much more needed to have that help and support there, because I know that he would have struggled being at school. But because he's at home, it's not that he doesn't need help and support because it's at home, but in some ways, he's fine. I've got pen on my head. I must have had that on my head the entire time. Look. Anyway, I don't know why I've got pen on my head. But yeah, I do sort of feel because he's at home and we can support him all the time, I'm not having to put him somewhere else where I don't know whether he's getting the support or not. That kind of does make it not quite so bad having to wait. I know there's lots and lots of people in the same boat who have children at school and are fighting for them to get the support that they need. And it's just the system is, that system is broken down as well. And it's just kids are not getting the support that they need. Left, right and centre, really. And I know that there'll be people listening, watching this, who know exactly where I'm coming from. And that's why we talk about it. I mean, there'll be the few that criticise me and that say this and they say that and say I shouldn't talk about it and, all the rest of it. But whatever. People need to speak. People need to speak about things. It's not, something that needs to be shied away from. It's not something that needs to be brushed under a carpet. It's things, people are there. We are here, to support other people, for people to support us. So we can give out advice, so we can give support to other people. That's what the whole social media world is for, and world obviously in general, but so much stuff is online now, and that's the good part of social media, is the support that's there for people, for us, for other people. I see people in the comments supporting each other as well, and that's the good side. And sometimes it's difficult, it's really difficult sometimes, that was a fly or something, to especially with everything that's been going on at the moment, it's very difficult to see that sometimes. But we really do appreciate all the support. This is a whole kind of not new ball game, and I see lots of traits in some of the other children now, and I think maybe I should have gone through the diagnosis process with them, and maybe I should still do that. But again, I'm, like I've said before, I'm a different parent now than I was 10, 15 years ago. I was very much, you know, institutionalized, if you like, play by all the rules, do all the things that I thought I should be doing, all of those things. You know, Ben was in the military, everything was as I thought it should be, whereas now I am different. I've seen kids go through the system and the school system, the education system, and some, like I've said, have done really well, and some have been just spat out, you know, hung out to dry, and it's not been pretty. And this isn't, you know, an education post as such, because that's probably an one for another day, but people change, things change, your views on things change as well. And as we have got older, age has probably changed us a bit, made us a bit more laid back, and maybe a little bit more confident in our own abilities, of what we are capable of, and what we want for our children, rather than letting other people decide what we want for our children. But you know, it doesn't come easy. Once, like I said, once you've stepped out of the norm, people look at you differently, very differently. People look at you differently. People start questioning what you're doing. People start questioning you. People start accusing you of being crazy and all sorts of stuff. At the end of the day, we just want what's best for our kids, and that's what we always want. So that's what we will always, you know, they are everything, and getting it right for them is the most important thing, to be honest. And that's what we'll continue to do. But yeah, that is update for today. I'm going to sit and wait for the girls to come out now, and then we're going to go for a nice walk, because it's not raining like it was forecast. It's nice and kind of sunny. So that is it. I hope you've enjoyed the video, guys. I hope I don't even know if I've explained myself properly. Sometimes it's, you know, difficult to process things sometimes and get them in the right kind of context. But anyway, don't forget to drop us a like and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. All the links to everything we do are in the video description below, and we will see you in the next video.